Hello?
Ron, Brian from Rockeyez. How you doing today?
Good. How you doing, man?
Great. Ready to go?
Sure.
Cool. Ron Young, Little Caesar. You originally were a bouncer?
I'm more of a doorman than a bouncer.
Wow. Was it an interesting job?
Yeah. You get to meet great people. It was a really cool club in L.A. called Club Lingerie, where actually Little Caesar that was kind of our showcase place that we got signed out of. And, just a lot of great bands, and, it was one of the more premier places in L.A. So, we got to see a lot of friends, got to meet a lot of musicians. It's kind of where I actually put Little Caesar together with a bunch of guys that I met through working there. And, just seeing all these bands that came up through that wound up getting record deals. And so it was a really cool place to, I moved there from New York, so it was a real cool way to kind of get plugged into the LA scene. So it was kind of a cool gig.
Cool. Now, Little Caesar, your first appearance was on a Metal Blade Street Survivor compilation, I guess EP or CD or cassette, whatever it was back then. How'd that come about?
Well, that was kind of a contrived thing. We were already kind of finishing off our deal with Geffen, and Geffen saw kind of how well Guns N' Roses sort of independent EP did, so they thought it would be a way to start getting the word out, about the band. So we threw a track on that, and then we wound up doing the Name Me a Poison EP through those guys too. And that was basically a bunch of tracks that the label didn't think was going to be on the record.
Cool.
So they thought it would establish our street credibility.
Wow. Now, really, you really hit with Chain of Fools, in 1990, and I guess the band took off from there because that song hit number 17 on the U.S. mainstream charts and 88 on Billboard. Was it a big jump all of a sudden, like, from, I guess, club days to being a main attraction?
Yes and no. I mean, the strange thing was it came and it went so quickly. I mean, it was... you do all this work leading up to something, and it starts to pay off, as far as, getting lots of radio attention and, being on heavy rotation on MTV. And as fast as it came up, that's as fast as it went away. And, it was one of those weird things, is right as that was taken off, Geffen Records got sold. And there was all this corporate stuff going on, and we're like, well, but we have a record out.
Wow.
They're like, oh, no, don't worry about it. And we're like, well, we are worried about it because our records are sitting in WEA's distribution warehouses, and BMG owns you guys now, and there's no records in the stores. Isn't that going to pose a problem?
Right.
And, oh, no, don't worry about it. And then, 3 weeks later, it was like all over. It was really weird. Yeah.
Wow. You also got a small part in Terminator 2, I guess, through Little Caesar. Yeah,
actually, that had really didn't have anything to do with Little Caesar. I was friends with Catherine Bigelow for years, since like the early 80s, and did some music for a film, like her first film, and kind of helped music coordinate that as a friend. And then she wound up, marrying Jim Cameron. And so he was just kind of a buddy, and he was like, I got to stick you in my movie. It'll be a blast.
Cool.
So he just called me up one day and said, come on down to the set. I got a great little part for you.
Cool.
And he said he enjoyed doing that to me. So.
Wow. Now, in 1990, you got to play Madison Square Garden with Kiss. How was that?
It was pretty amazing. I mean, that's like, he's a band that I kind of grew up with. And playing in a venue that I saw my first concerts at. I mean, I saw the Zeppelin there, and Black Sabbath, and The Who, and, so many of these iconic bands. So for me, it was really kind of the pinnacle of, putting all your dreams together and having actually, get the opportunity to be on the other side of that. It was pretty amazing.
Wow. You have any recollection of any special moments at Madison Square Garden?
No, not particularly. It was kind of, but actually what strikes me the most was watching Gene Simmons hold court backstage, because here he is kind of playing in his hometown where he kind of grew up.
Right.
And his mom was there, and, so to watch that was kind of the most interesting thing about all of it. Was
Wow.
Watching the master at work hold court, so it was very interesting.
Cool. What was it like backstage? Did you have a tour rider at that time? Was there any special, things that you asked for or anything like that back then?
No, it was pretty much just straight ahead, just, some beer and water and soda and a couple of little snacks.
Right.
The funny thing was that we used to always go in, Gene and Paul used to always, because they had like full roast turkey and all, just this incredible spread, which of course never got eaten or touched.
Right.
So, and we used to go in there and they used to have like egg creams and all
wow.
this, just it was like going to a New York deli, so, you'd be like, come on and get a sandwich.
Wow.
It's
Cool.
just like whole turkey that was had 2 pieces popped off of it,
Wow.
So it was more enjoying their rider than ours.
Wow. You originally were slated to play Monsters of Rock, and actually you're going to go to Download Festival on June 16th.
Correct.
What are you expecting from that show?
I don't know, one of the first things I've ever learned in this business is have no expectations, and then you have no disappointments.
Right.
It's, I'm sure it's going to be a pretty wild thing because, this whole experience of, rekindling the band and going out there and doing it under different circumstances for different reasons at a way different time. We're just kind of really blown away over the fact of how everything's kind of come full circle, of just being able to do something like that, doing it so organically and doing it without major record labels behind us and everything else has been, that alone has been sort of a vindicating and validating accomplishment to do it,
Right.
And, just really excited because it's coming at the end of a tour, our own club tour throughout Germany and Belgium and Switzerland and stuff. So it's going to be a great culmination of that.
Cool.
And, just really excited about getting the opportunity to do it.
Being a musician and the longevity of the band and stuff like that, is that a dream come true for you?
This thing has been filled with so many nightmares. It's kind of weird. that dream is a loaded term.
Right.
It's something that, every day kind of blows us away. We came out and there was no internet,
Right.
So, there was no cell phones. There was none of that stuff. So now with social media and everything else, it's been, this evolution of awareness of just, what we do, why we do, who we do it for, with a completely different set of hopes, expectations, goals.
Right.
Because, we're not trying to become rock stars. We're just trying to enjoy our music and play it for people that enjoy it, and hopefully maybe make some new fans along the way. So, it's something that's just been a really enlightening kind of thing, from a much broader standpoint than maybe some bands get fixated on, next single, next accomplishment, keeping this thing going. It's been almost like a journey of spirituality and commerciality, so.
Do you feel,
cool.
Do you actually need a label anymore to make it in the music industry?
Nope. Listen, this is the first time we've ever, we're not making big money, but it's the first time we've ever been profitable.
Right.
And it's like, it's funny, years ago I read this article in the LA Times. They took a recording contract and they took out any reference to music and put in like some errant product.
Right.
And they gave it to 20 attorneys, and every single attorney came back and said, if you even think of signing this, you're out of your mind. It's the most one-sided deal we've ever seen. And, that was kind of just the way a music, a recording contract was. And, every nickel they spend, you don't get to say a word over it, yet you got to pay it all back. So if somebody's taking a flight, or if they're pressing up T-shirts and giving them away, it all went on your bill.
Right.
Nothing you could say about it. So now, because of iTunes and because of all these, different internet outlets, and because actual CDs have dropped, especially in the U.S., it's like 70% is downloads.
Wow.
You don't need this huge corporation to actually get a product out there. The other side of that coin is it's really diluting. It's very hard to get to people unless you're really savvy with working the internet and Facebook and Twitter and all these kind of things. But, especially for young bands, it's a way more realistic, attainable goal to put out your own music. It means you have to be a graphic designer and a video director and a producer and all these things. You have to be way more multitasking than a band would be, say, with a label behind you.
Right.
But if you're reasonably resourceful, you can be your own distributor and generate revenue a lot quicker, with a much greater rate of return than you would have to do on a corporation praying for that one shot kind of thing.
Right.
So, like everything, it's a two-edged sword, but, the ones that are really doing it are the ones that are really savvy, way more so than, hey, man, I wake up, I plug my guitar, and then magic happens. And it's like, nah, man, you got to be on your smartphone all day long responding to fans and praying you go viral.
Definitely.
It's a completely different realm. And, it's not about trying to sell records. It's about brand awareness, It's about branding something now as opposed to, So it's completely changed, and nobody knows where it's going, and I think that's a good thing, but also a scary thing for a lot of people.
Right.
And, it's like, who knows? So it's sort of exciting, but also can be anxious, make you anxious,
Cool. Now, you had American Dream come out last year, which did fairly well, and, it has a diverse music on there, a little bit ZZ Top sound, a little hard rock. Do you feel that CD really, pushes the band a little bit farther to the edge of really a southern sound?
Yeah, listen, the funny thing is that, I mean, since day one, I've always joked that, listen, we're not a band that breaks new ground musically.
Right.
All we've ever done is sit around in a room and go, we should write a song like, this kind of type of music. I love this. I'd love to be able to write a song and get to play it every night that's got like a ZZ Top feel or a Rolling Stones feel or a Rolling Stones meets AC/DC feel or, and it's not, it's just, paying homage to music that's been taken back from roots of country, back from the roots of blues, back from the roots of, rhythm and blues. And, so like on this record, when we sit down and try to craft, 10, 11 tracks, it's, what's missing is this kind of a feel.
Right.
And so, being fans of music and not being, 18 years old, we kind of came up through, bands that were interpreting more rootsy type music. We're lucky that we don't have to try to recreate hair metal from the 80s as some of our contemporaries were known to do.
Right.
We're allowed to just be a sort of dated rock band because we were a dated rock band in 1990. So it's like,
wow.
It's kind of funny because for us it's a point of freedom. We don't have to go out there and try to do what, say, an LA Guns would do or a Skid Row would do for its fans, because we were always very influenced by, American roots music and, things like that, just amplified or bastardized to a certain point, trying to just stay true to the original form of music in our own way. So, on this record, it's like, let's get like a 60s garage thing going. We don't have one of those. So we wrote American Dream, that kind of, just choppy kind of thing. And, so for us, it's like we just get to, I always joke. It's like, okay, we do a live show, and I'm like, okay, here's a song we wrote by AC/DC, It's like, see how many people catch that comment,
Yeah.
And, and for us, it's like, again, we never stepped into this trying to reinvent music or say that we were some unique creative thing. We always knew that what would make this band popular would be just our own blending of influences and energies brought together to just be a straight-ahead rock and roll band. Because we came out when it was all this hair metal stuff, everybody looking like girls, and we wanted to look like dudes playing straight-ahead rock music that in 1987, 88, 89 was gone.
Right.
You know, it's like, what happened to the Zeppelins and the Bad Companies and the AC/DCs? Now it's all pop metal, and we got to get back to the roots of this stuff, just for our own musical salvation. And funny enough, that's when we started to get offers of record deals. So it's like, wow, we finally just said, screw it, let's look like a bunch of dirtbags. We pull up on our motorcycles and we play sort of roots-based rock music loud, and that's when all of a sudden people thought it was something unique and special, and we were like, wow, this is just a rock band. If this is what you wanted, we could have given you this 4 years ago, you know?
Right.
And that's kind of been what we've done for the last 25 years, and we're grateful for it, because then we don't have to, you know, try to chase this one thing that we're known for, which could be very dated or very period-oriented, you know? So.
Right. Now, with all the different music that's out there, do you ever think there'll be a band like, you know, like you talking, like, you know, like ZZ Top or you know, like Aerosmith or Jethro Tull or, you know, all that, like everybody, all they do is talk about how good the bands were back then, and now it's like, there's so much music out there. I mean, you can't like stick to a particular band like legendary that would make it today.
Yeah, no, that's one of the things of the dilution of music. But you know, there's some like bands like Rival Sons and, you know, Blackstone Cherry, and there's a lot of bands that are going back to that 70s, you know, early 70s, late 60s, lo-fi recordings. Very organic, unprocessed sounds, you know, Black Keys, you know, whether, you know, I mean, this could just be like, I used to laugh at listening to my father talk about music, you know, I just sound like an old fart. So, you know, there's never going to be a period where there's like Led Zeppelin, Black Sabbath, Elton John, you know, this litany of bands from that period of like 67 to 74, 76, and that period till punk started.
Right.
That there was just this incredible, you know, selection and FM radio and, you know, this magical collection of people that were really breaking new ground. And maybe it's just that they did, you know, such great stuff with forms of music that sounded fresh and unique that now we're kind of used to it, so it doesn't really sound so innovative as it was when Zeppelin totally bastardized the blues, or, you know, when Rod Stewart and Paul Rodgers were bastardizing rhythm and blues and soul into a form of rock. So I don't know, but, you know, I hear like these kind of some of these younger bands coming up that are very much trying to emulate that, and, you know, I'm like, oh, well, thank God, because if I, you know, hear another, you know, Justin Bieber song, I'm going to blow my mind. Not that stuff has ever gone away, because there was always Leif Garrett and all these other pop idols back in those periods that it used to make me want to throw up too. But so that'll never go away. There's always going to be some 13-year-old that doesn't even know what they're buying.
Oh yeah, that's my kids now. They like this band One Direction. That's all I hear.
Yeah, One Direction,
all day long.
It's like, are you kidding me? There's not a hook in the box in these bands. Yeah, but they're cute as hell. And it's like, okay, they're cute, and you see their picture, and you buy the lunchbox, and that'll never go away.
Oh my God. I mean, just shopping for Christmas for my daughter, I had to get these stand-ups, One Direction, and she got it on her phone, all this other crap, and yet that stuff is like expensive as hell. You
ain't kidding, man. I mean, these guys are. I mean, the music is almost secondary. It's the merch, you know. It's the posters and the, you know. But you know what? They did it with the Beatles. Kiss did the same thing. I mean, Kiss pioneered music merchandising, you know. And so it's all just commerce, and it's all branding, and it's all, you know, the weird thing that I'm looking to see is how, you know, when I came up through, we were talking about this the other day, there was Don Kirshner's rock concert and Midnight Special, Circus and Cream and Rolling Stone, and that was it.
Yeah.
You know, now you can go to YouTube, and my show from last night is on the internet.
Oh, yeah.
You know?
Yep.
And millions of people can watch it. And it takes the mystique away, and it takes that, you know, that magic away from you superimposing what you think it's supposed to be and what it means and what's happening behind the scenes and what these guys think and how they dress and what they wear and, you know, what they do for, you know, now it's like Justin Bieber took a big shit and someone took a picture of it and put it on the internet. Oh, look, he ate corn yesterday. Where did he eat the corn? You know, and it's like, where before it was like, we hear Led Zeppelin through a TV out of their room, you know, but it was all just rumor, and it was all, you know, and it built the lifestyle, it built a mystique, and it was very controlled and guarded, which made it more special than it is now.
Wow.
Now this guy goes to a damn museum in Germany and you know, for Anne Frank, and it's all over the internet what a putz he is, you know, and it's like, well, you know, this poor guy, you know, he's self-involved and everything is about him, and that's bullshit, but on the other side of the coin, you know, you never heard 95% of, you know, what any of these guys were doing. They wrote about it in the magazines and glorified it, and it built a lifestyle. And so that's a cutting, you know, that cuts both ways. And so I think between that and iPads and iPhones, music doesn't have the place in people's lives. You know, now it's the soundtrack to a video game.
Right.
You know, now people buy one song because it's catchy on iTunes, and they don't buy into the whole lifestyle. They don't buy into the whole mystique. And, you know, that's kind of killing it because you don't get to build the magic around the band like it did when I was, you know, growing up with music as a major part of my life, the soundtrack of my youth, you know?
Right.
So it's going to be curious.
Cool. Now, the first time you had to give an autograph, how was that feeling like?
Oh, that was pretty amazing because you're like, really? You want my scribble on a piece of paper? And you know what? To this day, like I'm amazed at the response. Like people write me on Facebook, and usually within an hour or two, I write them a nice note back. I'm like, really? You would write me back? I can't believe it. And it's always just kind of shocking to me the magic somebody puts behind a guy that's making, you know, that's making music. I mean, I know guys that make watches for a living or build houses. They're creating something really of value, something that's long-lasting. Nobody gives a shit about their autographs, you know? It's like, and, you know, and the fact that it's 25 years after we came out with the debut record, and that's predominantly where we, you know, developed a fan base. You know, to me, it's like, without fans, the band doesn't exist. It's like, you know, if the tree falls in the forest and there's only there to hear, it doesn't make a sound. And, you know, that interaction between people always amazes me because I'm just a guy who sings. I could be a guy who builds cars or a guy who builds houses or a guy who pushes numbers on a sheet of paper. That would just be what it is I was born to do, and I chase it every day because I love to do it. It just happens to be that I love to sing. Because music just means so much to me. But that doesn't make me any different than any guy on the street. If you like it and relate to it, it's like as if you like my pastry that I bake, that you just is tickled about it, you know?
Right.
So I never understood that. In fact, it makes me kind of uncomfortable, you know, because it's like, you know, hey, man, I'll just talk to you because you seem like a nice, intelligent person and you got something to say.
Cool.
You know, don't just sit here and tell me how great I am. You know, that'll get me in trouble. You know? If I start to believe my own bullshit, I'm in trouble. You know, so I'm really glad you like what I do and it moves you. But I'm sure there's probably you raised 3 kids and 2 of them in the military. Hey, man, that's something that's really noble.
Right.
You know, I just sang a song on it in a microphone.
Cool.
You know, and the big picture of things, that ain't nothing, dude. So. You know, let me hear about your kid. You know, how's he doing after his PTSD, and how's your daughter doing in cheerleading camp or whatever? That's real shit. That's something that's going to live on and endure and hopefully contribute to our society.
Cool.
I just sang a cover of Aretha Franklin song, dude. That's really nothing to really be fucking, you know, proud of.
Wow.
So all that stuff really kind of blows me away to this day. You know?
Cool. Now you're headed to France, Germany, Belgium. After that little stint tour, what do you expect? What's the future look like for the band?
we're just, we're on a great roll. We're just going to come back and, usually that's an incredibly motivating experience when you get out there, because, we're all working dudes, so, some guys go fishing, some guys go golfing. We take off a few weeks every year and go over and play in Europe, and it always blows us away. We walk in and the room is packed and everybody knows all the words and stuff, and they all want autographs and to talk to us, and it's a really uplifting and motivating thing. So probably get home, get some sleep, and then jump back into the room and start writing some new music. And then, go in and record it. We got this great little thing going. We seem to get a record out every, 2 years, so we were going to try to get some stuff done before we left, but that's probably not going to happen.
Wow.
And just, keep this great little dynamic that we have going between our fans and the bands. And, we got some really good people that support us, and, behind the scenes, people that get us on, the Download Festival or get us articles in Classic Rock magazine.
Right.
It's just funny. I don't know if it's, people have kind of picked up on the fact that, listen, we're honest guys, we're straight ahead guys, there's no bullshit here, we keep putting out credible music, and, after 25 years, people start to take notice. They're not going away. I guess maybe we should talk to them, find out why they won't go away, So we just kind of tapping into all those little resources and our own little group of people that are helping to continue to get the word out and keep that moving,
Cool. Well, Ron, Little Caesar, thanks a lot for the talk today. Very innovating. A lot of people are going to learn a lot of things about you. And, I wish you the best. Would you like to say anything in conclusion?
No, just listen. For anybody who cares to listen or reaches out to hear our music, we're really, really grateful for that. And, and appreciative of that. It's really motivating and important to us that we get that kind of feedback and that support. And, it doesn't really matter whether you touch 20 people or 20 million people. It's pretty much the same damn thing. So, we're just really grateful for that, interaction between us and the people that care about the band,
Cool. Thanks a lot, Ron.
Hey, thank you, Bill.
Bye-bye.